No matter where you turn or where you look, the same thing is always being said about Darian Devries. He just knows how to win. Is he a basketball genius? Well, we're going to find out. We're going to find out soon. Stick around with me, guys. This is Locked On West Virginia.
You are Locked On West Virginia, your daily podcast on the West Virginia Mountaineers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up? Welcome in, guys. My name is Mountaineer Paul. This is another edition of Locked On West Virginia, brought to you by FanDuel. Start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet, and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets. If you win your first $5 bet at FanDuel.com, go there to get started. And thank you for making Locked On West Virginia your first or last listen of the day, and for being a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where we talk about your team every single day. The guys had their press conferences today, and I found it very interesting listening to some of them. But I wanted to play a certain clip here because, man, was it really interesting. Corey Barnett talking about Coach Darian Devries today in his press conference. High praise from the assistant coach. Give me just a second here, and I'll show you what he said. Thank you to BlueGoldNews.com for this clip.
I don't think he's ever witnessed a losing season in his coaching career. So he's been around winning, and it does look like winning when you're around it. And I've been around losing too through my career, and you feel losing. And he focuses in on what helps guys win, what those details are offensively and defensively, and he hits on it every single day. He is a stickler for not only the details, but the guy's passion. I think that's the one thing that I've learned the most from him in my 6-7 months of being here is he's incredibly focused on the passion and energy that our guys bring to every single day. And he does a really good job of not only just harping on that, because it can become a little bit white noise if you're just saying you got to play more passionate, but he figures out different ways to push guys' buttons depending on who that is. And it's a lot harder nowadays. Like, it's back in the day, you used to know a guy and you used to be able to coach them in a certain way, and you recruited them for 2 or 3 years, and then you coached them for a year most times before they played. Now you get 6-7 months with them, and you got to learn them quickly. And I think he's done, from what I've seen so far, he's done a really good job of doing that thus far. And now we get into when adversity hits, who are we? And I think from the guys that I've been blessed enough to be around, he's done that at the highest level, better than I've seen.
Better than he has seen. Really high praise from Corey Barnett, who has been around some of the nation's very best coaches. When you look around and look at who he has been around, he's been around Tom Crean, who really good coach, right? He's been around Steve Alford, really good coach, and others, not just those guys. Oh, let me get back fit in my screen here. Let's see. There we go. So I think it's going to be interesting to see what Darian Devries does with this team, because he said it in the interview. He hasn't known a losing season in his coaching career, head coaching career. And this is not the first time he's had to flip a roster. He's consistently done it and done it well, albeit at Drake, and I get that. And I know we need to manage expectations, and this team isn't everything that he would want in a team from top to bottom. But I think that the scrimmage against Wake Forest and some of the other things, the exhibitions they've done, and the Italy trip, and then just consistently how they keep practicing, has given him a lot of confidence in this team. I've been told several times that it's rare for Darian Devries to give out a lot of praise, and he's done that pretty damn consistently. If you listen to his press conferences about this team, certainly he's always looking for more, but I just have a good feeling about him. I can't really explain it. There's something about him that screams to me, I'm not going to lose. I can't put my finger on it. And it's not really the fact that he hasn't really lost a lot, even though it was a Drake. There's something else with him that I just look at and think, and maybe I'm romanticizing it as a fan would, but I look at Darian Devries and I hear him talk and the way he explains the game and how he just has this hunger to be so good and it's never really satiated. Satiated. Um, I get just he exudes some kind of confidence, you know, and like somebody in the chat saying they prepare for the game like it's the national championship. I think that's important. So this team here is, I think they're going to be good 1 through 8, maybe 9, depending on how other guys come along as the year goes. But I'm excited about this team. I really do think they're going to be good. If you look around at who they have and what pieces are what, it fits together better than I think we all were worried about, especially early on, because I just got to be honest, man. I wasn't hearing the greatest things outside of like the Small and Devries. You know, you're looking at like, what do I do with the rest of this? And man, it's just come together. It really has. It's really come together. In a way, and it's taken some guys to have to step up to do that, and certainly other guys are going to have to do that for this team to really be elite. But I'm going to pull up the roster real quick so I don't forget anybody. Okay, so let's just roll through this roster really quick one more time. I did this yesterday, but I did it in my second segment, and I wanted to do this in our first segment today. Also, before I forget, a lot of you guys have been giving me super chats still. A lot of you guys have been a lot of you guys are still channel members, and I need to remove you from that. And what we're going to do is I'm going to be Locked On is going to be giving me a text number that's going to be associated with me, and it's going to be like a Discord type situation. It's like $4.99 a month if you're interested, and you'll be able to communicate with me at all times, and I'll be able to answer your hot button questions, or if I'm at a, you know, whether I'm at a press conference or wherever I might be. If you want answers to a question quick or want to know how something went in person or whatever, I can give that to you. Because another thing we're going to work on getting is credentials for myself, and we feel pretty good about the odd opportunity that it's going to happen. Locked On's really good at getting that kind of stuff done. So a lot to look forward to. And not only that, guys, you guys know from if you followed me for any amount of time at all, you know that I keep in close contact with several of the players. So there's always going to be stuff that I can give you that maybe you couldn't get or don't have time to get on your own. All right, so back to this. So obviously this team is going to start and end, in my opinion, with Javon Small. I think Nelson Hernandez played a huge role in getting the kid to come, having been there with him at Oklahoma State. And, man, this kid here does it all really well. He can run a team. He reminds me of Le'Veon Bell in a sense, because he's really, really good at being patient while also moving pretty fast. He's really controlled and measured under pressure, especially when he's going into the lane. He's always looking to make a play, and he never gets out of control, at least very rarely. He's also a plus defender on the other side. He's in the mid-30s from three, so you've got to respect him no matter where he's at on the court. And think Joe Toussaint. He's got that kind of drive to the basket ability, and then he's also got great body control when finishing at the rim. And you really couldn't start a team with much better point guard. I mean, he's right up there with some of the better point guards that we've had at West Virginia, in my opinion, anyway. I mean, he's right there with like Juwan Staten, you know, like he's that level of a player. Tucker DeVries as a pure scorer could end up being one of the best we've had. And I'm not trying to go overboard with this. I mean this. I think Tucker DeVries he's 6'7", he's 220 pounds. And he can score it. He averaged 21 points a game, as we know, at a lower level. I think it wouldn't be much for him at all to maybe drop 3-4 points. 17 points a game is very doable for him, I think. And he fills up the stat sheet. When you look at Tucker DeVries, a typical game for him could be 17, 6, 4, and 1. Like he can really put you stuff. Like he might have a block, or he might have a couple steals. He's going to give you 16, 17 points. A lot of times he's probably going to give you 4 to 6, sometimes 8 rebounds in a game. And he really does it all as far as stuff in that stat sheet. Look for Tucker to really put it together this year at a more difficult level. It'll be interesting to see how that goes as the season goes on. Beyond that, I talked about Amani Hansberry the other day being a big X factor on this team. I still believe that because the 5 it's where we're lacking overall, in my opinion, from a depth perspective, especially talent perspective, all that. And Hansberry is going to be key in this team really coming together. And I think for me, man, you look at Hansberry, he's a guy that can run the rim. He's a guy that's a plus defender, even though he's only 6'8". And he's a guy that he's spent a couple years trying to hone the ability to score with his back to the basket. And Coach DeVries and the guys have really opened up the ability for Hansberry to shoot the ball. And he shoots it well. He's got potential with it. He can really be a plus stretch. And I stole this from Neil Brown, the plus, when you're talking about a guy who's better than average. I did steal that from Neil Brown, but I like that descriptor. So he's a plus big, and I believe he can be really good from the perimeter. And from what I've been told by others, where he really is going to succeed at this year is his decision-making. We all know Jokic is probably the best center in the game and maybe going to be one of the best in history when he retires for the Nuggets. But what does he do better than anything else? Almost. Pass the ball. He's an elite passer for a big. And I think you look at a guy like Hansberry, and can he develop into that in an offense where there's a lot of motion, there's a lot of set plays, and there's a lot of both. And so I think it's going to be interesting to see how a kid like Hansberry really develops in this offense, because it's a lot. Darian Devries made no bones about it today in his press conference. They throw a lot at these guys. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. From there, I think Toby Oconee is who I look to next, as he's going to be what you need him to be, probably game to game. Do you need a defensive stopper? Do you need a guy that can go post up a smaller player? Do you need a guy that can shoot it from the outside here and there? Maybe he gets hot for a game. He can do all that. And if he has a good year, good to great year, watch out. This team could be really, really good then, because he's got an NBA body. He's got an NBA frame, and he has some NBA skills, especially dribbling the ball and moving around and athletically. If he can develop that over the course of this year against really good competition, look out. This team could go from good to great with him. Obviously won't be as deep as we want, but certainly the first 7 guys on this roster can play with about anybody. In tournament time, you don't play any more than 7 or 8 usually anyway. You go from there probably to, it's a tough call. I mean, and this isn't really fair as far as the order of it goes, but there's a couple other players that you have to look at, obviously. Jonathan Powell is obviously a huge X factor on this team as well. There's a couple X factors on this team, but I think you look at Powell, a guy who, before his career is over, he's going to be a 15 to 20 point a night scorer. It's number one, is it going to be at West Virginia? And number 2, how quickly can he get there this year? Because he could turn into a very inexpendable player really quick. He's put up 15, 20 points multiple times, albeit in these exhibitions and different things like that. And I truly believe he's got a chance to be elite. He's a top 100 player. Everybody wanted him. He could have went to Xavier. He chose to flip last minute, go to West Virginia. And he's one of those freshmen that's going to play right out of the box. Believe that. Sincere Harris came over with Amani Hansberry from Illinois. They know what it looks like. And during his press conference today, I was extremely impressed with the kid. Very well spoken. Up next on Locked On West Virginia, guys, after I got to go to break, I didn't realize I was talking this long. We'll talk a little bit more about the men's team, and then we'll talk about the women's team a little bit as well. Stick around. This is Locked On West Virginia. This episode of Locked On West Virginia is brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Hey, guys, our friends over at 5 Hour Energy know that being a passionate football fan isn't just a hobby, it's a way of life. It takes a lot of energy to power through all the tailgates, touchdown celebrations, or agonizing second overtimes, which is why they've created the Stand the Fan 5 Hour Energy Shot. With a special flavor called Fan Fuel, the energy shot made for the super fans like us, or fans who are in the parking lot first and last to leave. We see you. What else would give me a bit of West Virginia fan fuel this week? Maybe how about beating Cincinnati? That would be great. Or how about Nico and Mark y'all making plays in the game that actually matter? That would be great. 5 Hour Energy knows that no matter what team you root for, being a fan requires heart, soul, and a lot of energy. Whether you're prepping for the big tailgate or ironing your jersey, your game day to always do it is a mile long. Your to-do list is a mile long. That's why the limited edition Stan the Fan 5 Hour Energy Shot is here to help you keep fueled throughout the season. What's your fan fuel this week? Whatever it is, do it with 5 Hour Energy. Available at 5hourenergy.com and shipped nationwide. Back on Locked On West Virginia, I got carried away talking about the basketball team, but to tidy this up really quick, obviously we were talking about Powell. We moved on to Sincere Harris. Loved what he had to say in the press conference today. Prides himself on being a high-energy defensive stopper. We've already gone over the fact that he made one of the best players in the ACC look pretty rough at times during the close scrimmage against Wake Forest. Hunter Salas, not exactly sure how he pronounces it. But Salas is a guy that was a McDonald's All-American, went to Gonzaga, has since transferred to Wake Forest and became an 18 points per game scorer and is rated as one of the 3 or 4 best players in the ACC this year. And we got a guy that locked him completely and totally up, and it's not the first time he's locked a player up either. Sincere Harris has been doing this for a long time, for a couple years now. He's going to be one of the best on-ball defenders in the league. And I truly believe he's right there with Javon Carter before it's all said and done. He'll be in that conversation. He may not go as far as Javon did, to the heights that he did, like National Defensive Player of the Year, Big 12 Player of the Year. I'm not saying he's that great, because it takes, first of all, everything we did was centered around Javon Carter. The defense we ran under Huggins at the time and the press we ran at the time was all centered around him and Daxter and others, and Adrian at the point of the press to create these turnovers and extra shots. DeVries has a similar chaos in his defenses, but not so carefully crafted to create chaos. It's going to happen in a regular flow of games, and Sincere Harris is a great guy to do it, whether he's picking up full court or half court. So be looking for him to be incredible this year. I'm looking for big things from him as one of the 6th or 7th guys off the bench. Eduardo Andre is probably going to be somebody we're not talking about a lot, but he's going to have his days where we're going to look at him and say, dang, man, what a pickup. Because I think Andre is one of the unsung heroes of the offseason. He's 6'10". He can guard the rim, and on games where we need that rim protection and we need that extra rebounding, he's going to be the guy. Is he an elite offensive player? No. Can he score it? Absolutely he can. As a threat running down the floor or as a rim runner, he can score it a little bit, and you can throw it in there close to him here and there. I think that's what they're trying to develop. But he pulled out a Euro step the other day, if you were watching, a Euro step. So that's incredible for a guy his size to be able to even do that. So interested to see how his progression looks. But he could be important to this team, and already is, but he could be more important later down the line. Yesufu is a true unknown. Obviously, he was super important on the early DeVries Drake teams, one of the best players, if not their best player at times. And Yesufu was a true big-time contributor for Kansas, if you'll remember. I mean, he did big stuff for Kansas from the 3 on defense. And if he can round into form coming off an injury, knock some rust off, you look at a guy like Yesufu as being a huge contributor down the stretch for this team. I think his games and best games are going to be way ahead of him. Dylan J, Jake Auer, Abraham Oyadier, however he says that name, Oyadier, it's hard to say. And, those guys are all going to be wait and see. Obviously, they've all looked good in spots, especially Auer and Jay at shooting the ball. We'll see how they come along. Obviously, these are more walk-on practice players, but they could certainly contribute at some point. And then my guy, KJ Tenner, who is going to back up our guy at point guard, obviously small. I think he's going to be super important, guys. And he is a very, very mature freshman. Obviously, he suffers with some early hamstring issues, but I think he's since rectified that and has started to practice again finally, after not practicing for a long time, according to my sources. But Finally, he's practicing again, and we'll see how he contributes. Like, I love his tape. He's an undersized guy. He's got a great floater all the way out to the foul line, and he's controlled under pressure. We watched him when he got in the game there a week or two back. He looked good, and he's only going to get better as the year goes and adds to his frame. I think KJ Tenner is going to be a big-time piece to this team as the season goes, and we're going to need him because we need somebody to handle that ball at a high enough level if Small gets in foul trouble or, God forbid, gets hurt. That's the one thing when you look at this team is they don't have a whole lot of room for error. If one of those core pieces gets hurt, this team's probably going to struggle a little bit, if not a lot. So just give this team a break this year, guys, because if everybody stays healthy 1 through 7 or 8 and gels, this could be a really good basketball team. But unfortunately, if one piece falls in that starting 5 especially, because they've got guys that can come in from the back half and fill in and I feel like get better. But, man, that starting 5 is going to be hugely important to the season, I think, as a fan. So we'll see how it goes. And I like that. Somebody in the chat says, I got no expectations for the season, but I'm just going to enjoy it. I do have expectations for the future of WVU basketball, and DeVries is captain of the ship. That's fair. That's fair. Up next on Locked On West Virginia, we're going to quickly preview the women's team and then go to bed for the weekend. Stick around, guys. I'm a bachelor, and this is Locked On West Virginia. This episode of Locked On West Virginia is brought to you by FanDuel, guys. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. FanDuel Sportsbook app gives everything you need to place live bets on the NFL or all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to get started. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's at FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an unofficial sportsbook partner of the National Football League. All right, guys, we got to give the women some love, and they deserve it. They deserve maybe more than our guys do. They're going to be really good. Preseason ranked 16th team in the country, arguably one of the best backcourts in America. Mark Kellogg's squad features 8 student athletes from last year's team, guys. 4 of 5 starters and 6 newcomers. We all know about J.J. Quinterly, who thrust herself onto the national scene last year, playing her way into the host. Just a ton of national honors and nominations. And look, she played 94 games across the first 3 seasons. 76 of those were starts. And she's from Virginia, man. She's basically a West Virginian. 1,300 points, 312 rebounds, 238 assists, and 231 steals during that span. Look, you can't do no better. And she's got a year to go. That puts her 21st in program history and is on pace to finish inside the top 5 and top 8 in steals, guys. So she's approaching that Javon Carter territory. Really good. 67 times she scored in double digits. I mean, she has been so good, guys. She really has. She deserves it. Jordan Harrison, look, she's named some preseason watch list herself. She settled into the Power 5 level coming in last year from D2, and she pushed her way onto a Big 12 all-defensive second team. 33 games she played in, over 1,000 minutes played, 32 minutes a game, guys. Just a marathon runner. I mean, surely important. 96 steals. That's second most on the team. I mean, you've got to be impressed with that. 173 assists. Really good with the ball in her hands. Makes great decisions. The other 4 of the 5 are obviously Kylie Blackston, Kaya Watson are going to be extremely important in joining Harrison and Quinterly. Collectively, the group has appeared in 375 games, making 309 starts. They started all 33 games a season ago together, guys. So maybe the most experienced team in the country, if not one of. I mean, it's super important. We need to support this women's team this year because it could be a historic year. This is a team that almost took out Iowa last year, guys, and they are better, a lot better than they were last year. I'm just telling you. They're going to be good. They're going to be good. Blackston's in her third season with the Mountaineers. She averaged 6 points per game while shooting 43% from the floor. She played in 107 contests and made 64 starts. She's a glue player. Zion Nugent and Ashlyn Mosberry both suffered season-ending injuries last year. They both look to make their first appearances in Gold and Blue. Nugent transferred from Stephen F. Austin, where she played under Kellogg, where she averaged 11 points a game. She helped guide the Lady Jacks to back-to-back NCAA tournaments during her junior season, which was pretty cool. And Mosberry played at South Plains Community College for 2 seasons before transferring to West Virginia, so it'll be interesting to see what she looks like. Sydney Shaw is a transfer from Auburn last season. She played in all 32 games while making 18 starts, and she averaged 6.6 a game, 2.5 rebounds, and 9 assists, 0.9 assists last year, and some steals, playing 21 minutes a game. Very important there. And then obviously I had her on the show. Destiny Agobata was rated as a 4-star prospect by ESPN, and she was a member of the ESPN Hoops Girls Top 100 for the class of 2024, which ranked 78th in the country. Look for Destiny Agobata, guys. I got a call out of nowhere one day. Somebody asked me to have her on her show, and man, was she awesome to have on. And as a freshman, I think she is going to really, really play well. They start under Kellogg. They're going to play November 5th against Towson at the Coliseum. See them, guys. We need to support them. I'll do a much better comprehensive preview of them as we go on. For now, though, I've got to get rolling. Thank you guys for joining me on this episode of Locked On West Virginia. Before we go, I got to tell you, thank you for making Locked On West Virginia your first listen today. For your second listen, check out Locked On Big 12 podcast. Drake Toll leads the conversation in conference realignment news and pulls no punches when it comes to covering every team in the Big 12. Find Locked On Big 12 on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts, guys. Thank you for joining. I went 100 miles an hour today. It's all right. This episode's over, and I am out.